Hey everybody. Hello CineFiles. My name is Brian Moore, and I thought I'd do my first video response to something on something that no one would watch. Yeah, well, it's just an old video. I'm responding to something that's very old, and it was the best and worst comic book movies, and I just thought I'd get a list of the worst because that's always more fun ragging on movies than actually praising them anyway. I think I'll put at number 10 Captain America, the version by Albert Pune, much maligned. I think Albert Pune had started out as like he was going to have a really good career after Sword and Sorcerer, and then he did Radioactive Dreams. It was really kind of a quirky post-apocalyptic movie. It actually had a good performance by Michael Dudikoff, so that was kind of amazing. And then he just went to autopilot after that. He just did low budget movie after low budget movie that are always more complicated than they need to be. I don't know what his problem is. But Spews be out there. I think someone mentioned Doll Man. Beginning of Doll Man's kick ass. That gun that should have been him. Should have been him. Should have been Tim Thomerson just blowing weak people away with a giant big ass gun. They just shrink him down and who knows why. Nemesis was also like the first John Woo ripoff movie. But anyways, back to Captain America. Written by a guy who didn't like Captain America. Like I remember reading an interview saying, "What I'm going to do is just have him introduced, have him in costume and Red Skull at the beginning of the movie, and then people get sick of that. So I'm just going to have uh, what was his name, Salinger, just running around in a tank and a tank top, in a sweatshirt and just beat up guys." Really could have been something. Thank God they didn't do Spider Man. I read an interview with Albert Pune, and he was going to do Spider Man like right around when Cyborg came out, so they used the sets from that. I think it was a budget at 4 million or something. I don't know what the budget was, but it was pretty low, a lot lower than they claimed that Captain America had. Captain America is pretty bad, especially having a president, the whole subplot with the president. You're like, going, what the heck is this? Number 9, I have the Batman, the 1943 movie serial with Lewis Wilson, who is the father of Michael G. Wilson, the producer of all the Bond movies. Didn't know that until recently. Really horrible costume. People do probably like it. Did a lot of good things. It introduced the Batcave. The comic books in a Batcave before this movie came out, and really redesigned Alfred. It completely changed Alfred based on the warmth that the audience had for the movie version. But still, horrible costume, horrible villain, really racist villain. J. Carroll Nash is just really overacts. But anyways, that was 1943, so that was a different time. I put Doc Savage down because it's based on a pulp and not exactly a comic book, but it's a comic book type character, and most people put Shadow, on these lists too. So Doc Savage, starring Ron Ellie, one of it's kind of a sad end of George Powell's career. Just should have went on a high note. Very TV-ish movie. Just it just has the stink of TV movie written all over it. And Ron Ellie is okay. Yeah, he's all right as Dr. Savage. I think at the time, the image of him, he picks the image of the pulp covers of Doc Savage, but not so much the paperback. They should have had maybe Brad Harris to get in line with the 70s version of it. Anyway, this is a mute point. Script's horrible. Villain's horrible. His colleagues in this movie are pretty bad all around. It's got that John Hughes guy in it. I don't know his name. Sorry, should have done some research. Probably should have done something. At number 7, I have Elektra, just because if you could barely tolerate her in Daredevil, here's a movie just to make sure you're like, oh, I really don't think I could almost take her in Daredevil, but now this whole movie's on her, I just can't take her. Just looks like she's gonna cry every 5 seconds. She just doesn't have the look. Supergirl, really, all those comic book characters, you're just gonna do a rip off of Superman. You're gonna rip yourself off. Fine. Janae Schwartz, whatever his name is, actually graduated to doing Smallville, which is kind of odd. Look at this piece of crap movie. Um, really, no. Everybody's bland. Everybody's just bland. Peter Cook is bland, and they put makeup on Peter Cook to make him look younger for some reason. It's like, what? You think he's going to be a heartthrob after this? I don't even understand it. Move on. Number 5, Crow 2, City of Angels. If any movie did not warrant a sequel, it's when you kill off your lead man. He's dead. The character dies in the movie, so not even having him play, getting another actor to play that character since he, end of the movie goes off to heaven. Fine. In the story, no reason to, thank you for releasing Crow. I do appreciate you completing it and everything like that. You weren't doing anything that's despicable because Brandon Lee gave a great performance. And then you do this, you go ahead and everybody goes, oh, that was great. You make a sequel with Vincent Perez as the role, who doesn't have any fighting skill at all. I mean, just a pushing match. Every time he fought somebody, you just push him, like, get away from me. Horrible movie. Dark and dreary and just no fun. And Iggy Pop, he doesn't even give a good performance in this. Number 4 is Catwoman, a movie that no one wanted to be made, and I've just there was some excitement about it after Batman Returns because Michelle Pfeiffer was going to do it, and they decided to do it 10 years later, or maybe 15 years later. I don't know, 10 years. I can't do math very well. Sorry. About 10 years later, you're going to do this with Halle Berry with no they were hoping to get a cameo by Michelle Pfeiffer. She read the script, unfortunately, and did not do it. Number 3 is Howard the Duck. See, I think the one I've been most disappointed with was Howard the Duck because I was a big fan during the 70s with Steve Gerber when Steve Gerber wrote it. Great comic. What they made was a big budget creepy movie. I think later on in the black and white, since when the color comic book of Howard Duck was canceled, they made a black and white magazine format, which didn't have to follow the comics code, and they did make Howard the Duck, and I think her name's Beverly, boyfriend girlfriend, just so they could add nudity to it. But this movie tries it. I mean, these two are trying to get it on as soon as he appears, which is really creepy. He probably should have been an animated duck, not a midget in a really cheap suit. Just really unwatchable. I hate the voice of Howard the Duck. I mean, they just seem to screw up on every level of this movie. The script was horrible. I think Edward said something about George Lucas almost lost everything by producing this piece of crap, and I kind of wish he did, just to make sure people never did it again. And then we wouldn't have those horrible Star Wars sequels. Number 2 is Batman and Robin. Everything that I was able to sort of, it tried to get away with so much with Batman and Batman Forever, which was pretty close to being a really bad movie, but I think it succeeded. But everything that he tried to do, that he sort of went, it sucked, and you moved on. This movie goes, oh, I got away with that, so I'm going to do it more. I'm going to have more ass shots. I'm going to have more ass shots of Batman and Robin and maybe even Batgirl for your heterosexuals out there. Horrible scripted. The design's really horrible. And number 1, the biggest piece of crap that is out there is Superman 4: The Quest for Peace. I think this movie was made just to make this movie was made only to make Superman 3 look good. So Salkins had to thank the Cannon Group for actually saying, "Oh, it could have been worse. Superman 3 could have been worse. Could have been this piece of crap movie. Worse special effects, really horrible script, bad direction. There's times when people are wrestling and you can actually see they're actually wrestling in space or in the air, and you can actually see their feet touch the ground and they're sort of walking around. There's like wrestling, really horrible action. And it shouldn't have been. It should have been. Anyway, just really god awful. Really sad to see Chris Reeve in that earnest. You played it very earnestly, but just a horrible movie. But anyways, that's my video response to your video. So thank you for your time, and you have a good day.